Fridays are awesome, and after a week of laryngitis, it feels good to be able to say that like that. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm Carl Azus for CNN Student News. First up, a U.S. airstrike in Syria. But this attack wasn't aimed at ISIS. It was aimed at Khorasan, another terrorist group operating in the war-torn nation. The attack was on Wednesday night. The target was a vehicle that the U.S. believed was carrying a bomb maker from France. Considered a very dangerous operative, he joined up with Khorasan terrorists in Syria. U.S. officials don't know if he was killed. They think he was, but they say they're making progress against ISIS and Khorasan in Syria. The U.S. has targeted Khorasan before. It's made up of former members of the Al-Qaeda terrorist group, and the U.S. believes it's plotting new attacks against Western countries, including America.
Time for the shout-out. Cytology is the study of what? You know what to do. Is it resources, cultures, cells, or blood? You've got 3 seconds. Go. A cytologist studies living cells and may focus on those that cause disease. That's your answer, and that's your shout-out.
And one way cytologists do that is by looking at blood samples. Those can indicate how organs are functioning, what diseases people may have, from heart disease to prediabetes to cancer. But blood tests can take days or weeks to yield results. And news came out recently that a technology company is experimenting with nanoparticles, trying to fit a test into a pill.
Google X Labs is creating a pill aimed at detecting cancer and other conditions. Here's how it would work. Tiny particles from the pill are programmed to spread throughout the body and latch on to abnormal cells. A wearable device tracks the particles, in theory, to find out if cancer or other diseases are present. Monitoring would be on a daily basis, and information can be downloaded by doctors. This could make many blood and urine samples obsolete. Google has come under fire for privacy and security in the past, but they say they won't be handling individual data. A partner would do that. If this sounds too good to you, don't get too excited. It could take years for the technology to be ready, if ever.
And of course, blood tests alone can't diagnose everything. They may not be able to confirm mental illness, for example, though they may help doctors find something physical that's causing it. To diagnose bipolar disorder, doctors can use a number of tests: a physical exam, blood work, a psychological exam, and then have patients chart their moods.
Bipolar disorder is a mental illness that around 6 million Americans suffer from. Although I'll tell you, it's really hard to know the numbers because sometimes people don't seek help. Bipolar depression, manic depression, these are terms that are all meaning the same thing. The manic part of it, think of that as the highest of highs in your life. You feel great, you may be more reckless though. The depressed part of it is sort of the lowest of the lows. I want to try and simplify this for you because I find this really fascinating. Here are the frontal lobes of the brain, and deep in here is an area of the brain called the amygdala. Think of the frontal lobes of the brain as your judgment area of the brain, but also your brakes. The area of the brain that tells you to slow down, to stop, think a little bit before you do something. And think of the amygdala as the emotional center in the brain. So someone who is manic typically has no brakes, frontal lobes are not really active, and the amygdala is red hot, meaning it's super active. Things that you think, you immediately do. It may lead to wild bursts of creativity with unlimited energy. That's oftentimes what the manic phase is. Depression, think about it as exactly the opposite. The frontal lobes are now turned all the way up. That means everything is just stopped. Nothing's getting out. The amygdala turned down. It means you have just no emotion. So you're apathetic, you don't want to get out of the house, you simply don't want to do anything. That's what's happening in the brain of someone who has manic depression. The episodes can last hours, they can last days, they can last weeks. People can go through cycles over a time. So within a year, you could have 4 cycles from mania to depression and so forth. Typically, people really start to develop symptoms in their late teens and early 20s. About half of people are diagnosed before the age of 25. Many people can get good treatment for bipolar depression, but I think it's fair to say that it's not easy. First of all, it can be challenging to get the diagnosis. Second of all, it can be challenging to trial medications, see if they're working. But the key is ultimately finding a medication that's more of a mood stabilizer. You don't want to give someone an antidepressant who could possibly go into a manic phase. That could just worsen the mania. It's more about giving mood stabilizations to cut down on the intensity of the mania and the depression.
From our transcript page at cnnstudentnews.com, we're hitting the trail with some pioneers on today's roll call. Gregory Middle School, welcome to the roll. Good to see you guys in Naperville, Illinois. Call Mississippi the Magnolia State. Call it the Hospitality State. We call it home of the Lions. Cedar Lake Christian Academy is in Biloxi. And in Jeju, South Korea, we've heard from the Dragons. Thanks for watching at Korea International School. Now heading to the city of Marietta, Georgia. Hello to our viewers there. It's where we found an exoskeleton in action. Now when you think robotic exoskeleton, you might think Iron Man. But real ones exist and have practical uses. They can help people who've been injured or paralyzed walk again. And they can help workers lift equipment and handle heavy tools without fatigue.
Check out the Hercules C-130. It's a military plane used to carry weapons, Humvees, and even drop bombs. Not exactly a light load. And to handle the tools responsible for building them, you've got to be strong, really strong. Here's one solution, a robotic suit aimed at giving workers superhuman strength.
Right now, tell me, what does it feel like to you right now?
Pretty much weightless.
But I'm told that this is definitely not weightless.
No, it is not.
All right, so we're gonna try it, right? And I'm gonna see.
You got it while it's...
All right.
You want to pull it up?
Oh, okay. So that is certainly not weightless.
When you stand or kneel, Fortis transfers weight to the ground. It has weights on the back to serve as a counterbalance. Putting on the Fortis is like a cross between wearing a spacesuit and becoming a robot. It's a little awkward to move around, but wearing Fortis can suddenly allow you to lift heavy objects for long periods on end. And that's helpful when you're building something as big as a plane.
We've all seen Iron Man before, but it seems so futuristic. What was the idea behind it?
Through looking at different technologies, we found that there was a need to help industrial workers who are experiencing fatigue from holding heavy tools up for long periods of time.
You don't want the people building this thing to be tired. Objects are literally flying out of it. Lockheed Martin made Fortis to sell to its customers. The Navy just got 2. But here at the C-130 plant, Lockheed's using it as a new manufacturing upgrade to a plane they've been making since the 1950s. But the 2014 model is being built in a way that's very futuristic. Lori Siegel, CNN Money, Marietta, Georgia.
One week ago, we showed you a guy at a Tennessee college win $10,000 for this. You've got to make a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot all in 30 seconds. Missing the first 2 layups, not a good start. But at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, the freshman didn't give up. And after he somehow hits the three-pointer, you're not going to believe this. Dude won a truck. 4 new wheels for 4 good shots. He didn't lay down after the failed layups. He got a sinking feeling, put his backboard into it, made some pretty good points, and drove home a pickup. It was full court impressive, y'all. Have a great weekend from all of us here at CNN Student News.